Got a new limited company? Well, you need to figure out these 3 things right now. As a business accountant, my team and I spend all day long helping business owners on their journey, and we're very fortunate we get to help a lot of business owners at the very start of their journey. So if you've been following this content for any length of time, you'll know we do a ton of content around that for this reason. So as a result, one of the things we come across all the time is 3 key decisions that need to be made. So you've already kind of got your limited company, it's there, it's running, and there's other videos we've done in the past talking about the decisions you need to make before you do that, and even whether limited company is right for you. And then I think there's 3 very common things that need to be decided on from day one, early on, to get yourself practically going, and that's what I want to talk about in this video. So if you enjoy these types of videos, make sure to click the subscribe button and the bell below so you get notified whenever we release more videos just like this one. So what are the 3 key decisions? Well, let's start with the number 1 tax saving tip actually, which is related to all of this, and that is that you need to keep good records. I talk about it all the time. You know, people say often, oh, how do I reduce my tax bill and all this? Well, it starts with keeping good records, making sure that you're capturing all of your receipts and all of your expenses, so you only pay the right amount of tax and not any more. Now, as a result, that's fine, that's great and a goal to aim for, but practically from day one, you need to decide how you're going to keep your receipts, how you're going to keep your records. If you're a limited company, I think it's really important, and I would strongly suggest that you use some sort of accounting software. And there's other videos on, you know, Quickbooks, Xero, what's better, and all this type of stuff that are all over the YouTube channel, but you do need to decide. You might even decide actually a spreadsheet's fine for you right now. With a limited company, I tend to steer people away from that, but in a real limited areas, they can be quite useful. Or if you're in one of these sectors like crypto or something where the world hasn't quite caught up with a all-in-one solution, you might actually find that the spreadsheets work for you. So, but have a look, investigate your different options, grab some free trials maybe of Xero, QuickBooks, watch some YouTube videos about people talking about them, see what's right for you, decide how you're going to keep those records and how you're physically going to store your receipts. Is it going to be a box? Is it going to be a folder? Is it going to be digital? Right now, they don't have to be digital. However, if you are registered for VAT and coming up in a year or so's time, there is a requirement to keep certain digital records. That doesn't mean everything has to be photoed and stored somewhere, although there is some really great pieces of software out to do that link automatically with, say, Xero, QuickBooks, these kind of softwares. So investigate all of those things. That's really the action point to take away from this video, is think about how you're going to do it and how you want to do it. You can change it later, but as long as you've got some sort of system, I think we find a lot of owners that worry about it, you know, 6-8 months down the line, and it's a lot of back work then to go back and try and put in these systems or learn how to do it. So from day one, decide how you're going to keep your records and whether you're going to be in software or not. So that's kind of decision 1. Decision 2 is I'd start thinking about, what have I got to file at the end? So right now, you've got this limited company, great, fine. But eventually you're going to start going probably for most people, you're going to go trading for 12 months from when you formed it. And then there's going to be something that needs doing. And again, plenty of other videos on what you've got to file as a limited company, but generally you're going to have some accounts to go in at Companies House, and you're going to have a tax return to go in with HM, Revenue and Customs. And they're also electronically linked. So you tend to do like a full set of detailed accounts that go with your corporation tax return, your company tax return, and you'll do like a cut down set of accounts for the public record at Companies House. So there's these kind of 3 main documents that generally need doing, and there's options around all of those, but just know there are these key things. And in the UK right now, at the time of recording this video, doing those yourself is very difficult and very hard work. In fact, we've got many clients who are accountants themselves, fully qualified, but they just don't have the practical skills to know how to put those things together, or the software even to do them. But there are some tools out there that will allow you to do it for free, but we're yet to see anybody who's successfully done this properly and correctly, but it is there. So the action point again is to go away and figure out if you think you can do it yourself. If you think you can do it yourself, you've played with the software tools, you've got good accounting knowledge. Because one of the key differences between, say, a personal tax return, and this is really key, is a personal tax return ultimately, a lot of the time, boils down to, can you fill in 4 boxes with the right figures? And if you can get those 4 boxes right, then the skill is actually trying to make sure that the 4 boxes are right. You know, it's getting everything that you should be getting in there and in the right places. But for a self-employed person, it's fairly easy in terms of practically on the form. The problem with limited companies is that you need a lot of accounting knowledge, and they have to go in a separate sort of format. They have to be electronically tagged to be transmitted. That often requires the commercial software if you can't figure out the free products. So go and find out. And if you decide, no, there's no way I'm going to do this, which is the majority of limited company owners, then it's time to go and investigate accountants. And they are so wide and varied. And again, there's a video on the channel where I talk about, a very old video actually now, where I talk about what sort of things you should look for in an accountant and all these kind of tips. But just go and do your research. They price massively differently. They've all got different services. You've got to work out where the expertise is being done. Is it here in the UK? Is it abroad? Do you care? Who's actually carrying out the work? All these type of things. They really are wide and varied, and it's unregulated, so anybody can be an accountant. So you've got to decide what to do. So as a result, I'd go and talk to multiple accountants and then see what you feel more comfy with. But again, that can be quite sort of when you're busy and you're in your business, that's just another thing you've got to sort out further down the line. So do it day one, so you know what's going on. And many of these accountants will have you start paying early and throughout the year as well, so you don't have to worry about getting to the end of the year realising that you can't afford for the stuff to be filed, because I always think that's the worst place, because Revenue and Customs and Companies House charge instant fines for not getting these things filed. So I think having to make sure that you've got the money and you've been paying as you go and things like that really helps just keep you in the right place to make sure everything's going to be filed, and that's quite an important piece. So yeah, action point, go research, can I do it myself? If not, how much is that accountant going to cost me and who do I want to work with? And then finally, and probably the most important one from your point of view, is how are you going to pay yourself? Limited companies are a bit more complex than a sole trader. Sole trader, when you're self-employed, you're just going to draw the money from your bank account. And actually, practically, that's still going to how it's going to work. You're going to go to your company's bank account, pull your money out into your personal account, and that's you paid. But you do have to decide, what is that payment? Is it a loan repayment? Is it repayment for expenses? Is it salary as you would know it, PAYE, payroll, payslip, that kind of salary, or is it dividend? You've heard that term probably kicked around, and again, plenty of videos on all these topics on the YouTube channel. But what is it? Now you've got to decide how that's going to be done, and leaving it to when you actually want to get paid is not always the best idea, nor is probably trying to figure out, you've taken all this money over the last 12 months, what was it over 12 months later, because you can find yourself in quite a mess with the tax result of that. Some people overdraw, so they can't have had all that money, and then there's all these problems with tax charges. Some people would have been better having a salary, and then they've missed the deadline to submit the salary, and there could be fines, or just missed the opportunity. It means you could miss out on a state pension qualifying year, which can affect your state pension in the future. So all these things have got to be figured out early, and you've got to know what they are. So again, do your research, watch some videos, read some blogs, speak to some accountants, speak to some friends, or be careful on that one, but do try and find out what people do. And generally you'll find a lot of limited company owners have a mix of those sort of elements that I spoke about, and it's making sure that you've got, for your situation, the right result. Because the biggest thing with tax is, you can see there's 22,000 odd pages behind us, but practically you can have a completely different scenario to somebody else, and different things fit different people. So just make sure you do your research, figure that out, and obviously if you're in doubt, check with a professional. So they're the 3 decisions. Quick recap for you. Make sure you decide how you're going to keep your records and whether you're going to need software. Make sure you decide how and who and where you're going to get these accounts filed when the time comes, and all your bases are covered on that front. And then finally, make sure you figure out how you're going to pay yourself and how you officially do that. And start with the resources on the YouTube channel. You can see I've talked about this plenty of times, and go from there. That's it. Hope you've enjoyed this video. If you found it valuable, please do subscribe and share it with some people you think need to know this information. We'll see you in the next one.